There's a moment that happens to every serious trader. You're sitting at your desk, watching the same charts you've stared at for months, maybe years, but something feels different. The chaos that used to overwhelm you now speaks in whispers. The noise that once screamed for your attention has become background music. You can't pinpoint exactly when it happened, but you know something fundamental has shifted inside you. However, most traders never experience this moment. They get caught in an endless cycle of chasing setups, fighting the market, and burning through accounts. But for the few who push through, who refuse to quit when the learning curve feels impossible, there comes a day when everything clicks. Not because they found some secret strategy or magical indicator, but because they finally understood what profitable trading really demands. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 unmistakable signs that you're crossing that invisible line from struggling trader to profitable professional. These aren't the obvious markers you might expect. They won't show up in your profit and loss statement first. Instead, they'll appear in subtle shifts in your behavior, your thinking, and your relationship with the market itself. The first sign is perhaps the most counterintuitive. You stop trading for the rush and start trading for precision. When I began this journey, I thought successful trading meant constant action. Every market open felt like a battle I had to join. Every price movement seemed like an opportunity I couldn't afford to miss. I believed that more trades automatically meant more profits. But here's what separates the professionals from the perpetual strugglers. The pros understand that trading isn't about staying busy, it's about staying selective. You'll know you're evolving when you find yourself checking charts less frequently. When you can sit through entire sessions without placing a single trade and feel completely at peace with that decision. This shift happens because you finally grasp a fundamental truth. The market doesn't reward activity, it rewards accuracy. You begin to understand that every trade you don't take is just as important as every trade you do take. Those missed opportunities that used to keep you awake at night, now you see them as bullets dodged, capital preserved for the setups that truly matter. The second sign reveals itself in how you handle the inevitable losses. Early in your trading career, every red trade feels personal. Each loss stings like a failure, a reflection of your inadequacy as a trader. You might find yourself revenge trading, trying to win back what you just lost, or spending hours analyzing why that particular setup didn't work. But something remarkable happens as you mature. Losses stop feeling like punishments and start feeling like tuition payments. You begin to evaluate your trades not by their outcome, but by their execution. Did you follow your plan? Did you manage your risk appropriately? Did you exit at your predetermined level? This mindset shift is revolutionary because it disconnects your self-worth from your trading results. You start asking better questions. Instead of, why am I such a terrible trader? You ask, what can this loss teach me about my process? This emotional attachment isn't cold or robotic, it's professional. It's the mark of someone who understands that trading is a probability game, not a prediction contest. The third sign appears in your relationship with market opinions and external noise. In the beginning, every tweet from a market guru feels like gospel. Every YouTube video promising the secret to millions captures your attention. You find yourself constantly second-guessing your analysis because someone with more followers said the opposite. But as you develop, something powerful happens. You start trusting your own judgment, not because you think you're smarter than everyone else, but because you've done the work, you've backtested your strategies, you've kept detailed records of what works and what doesn't. You've built a system based on data, not emotions or hunches. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or stop learning from others. Instead, you develop the confidence to stick with your plan even when the crowd is running in the opposite direction. You realize that your edge isn't in having better information than everyone else. Your edge is in having better discipline than everyone else. The fourth sign is subtle but profound. You begin to think in terms of processes rather than outcomes. Amateur traders obsess over individual trade results. They celebrate wins as proof of their genius and mourn losses as evidence of their failure. But developing traders understand that any single trade is essentially meaningless in the grand scheme of building wealth. You know you're maturing when you can take a profitable trade and still be disappointed because you didn't follow your rules properly. Conversely, you can take a loss and feel completely satisfied because you executed your plan flawlessly. This process-focused mindset is what allows professionals to maintain consistency over thousands of trades. The fifth and final sign represents perhaps the most profound transformation of all. You develop what I call strategic patience. This isn't just waiting for better setups, though that's part of it. This is a complete rewiring of how you perceive time in the markets. Most traders treat every session like it's their last chance to make money. They approach each day with a desperate energy, frantically searching for opportunities that might not exist. But when you're truly evolving, you begin to understand that the market will be here tomorrow, next week, next year. You stop feeling like you're racing against some invisible clock. This patience manifests in ways that might surprise you. You'll find yourself comfortable holding positions overnight without constantly checking your phone. You'll watch other traders celebrate quick scalps on social media without feeling envious. You'll pass on marginal setups that your former self would have jumped on immediately. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. You're learning to distinguish between genuine opportunity and market noise. You're developing the emotional stamina to wait for your specific edge to appear, even if that means sitting in cash for days or weeks at a time. This patience extends beyond just entry timing. You become more selective about which markets to trade, which time frames to focus on, and even which days to be active. You realize that not every market condition suits your strategy, and that's perfectly fine. Some of your most profitable months might include several days where you made 0 trades. What makes this transformation so powerful is how it changes your entire relationship with money and success. You stop measuring progress by daily profits and start measuring it by consistency over longer periods. You begin to think like an institution rather than an individual trader. The really interesting part is how these 5 signs interconnect and reinforce each other. When you trade for precision instead of excitement, you naturally become more patient. When you trust your own judgment, losses feel less personal. When you focus on process over outcomes, strategic patience becomes easier to maintain. But there's something crucial you need to understand about this evolution. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in a straight line. You might experience 1 or 2 of these signs for weeks, then suddenly find yourself slipping back into old patterns during a particularly volatile market period. This is completely normal and actually part of the process. Think of it like learning to drive. Even after you understand the mechanics, you still need thousands of hours of practice before it becomes second nature. Trading psychology works the same way. The key is recognition. When you catch yourself falling back into amateur behaviors, don't beat yourself up. Simply acknowledge what happened and redirect your focus back to your proven process. Each time you make this correction, you're strengthening the neural pathways that lead to consistent profitability. There's also an interesting paradox that emerges during this transformation. The less you need to trade, the better your trading becomes. The less you care about any individual outcome, the better your overall outcomes become. The more comfortable you get with missing opportunities, the more real opportunities you actually catch. This isn't just trading philosophy. It's backed by solid psychological research. When you reduce the emotional pressure on each decision, your cognitive bandwidth increases. You see patterns more clearly. You make better risk management decisions. You exit both winning and losing positions at more optimal levels. Many traders resist this evolution because it feels boring compared to the adrenaline rush of constant action. But here's what they don't realize. Boring trading is profitable trading. The most successful professionals I know describe their daily routine as methodical, almost mundane. They check their levels, wait for their setups, execute their plans, and manage their positions according to predetermined rules. If you're starting to recognize some of these signs in your own trading journey, congratulations. You're joining a very small percentage of market participants who actually make this transition. But remember, recognizing the signs is just the beginning. The real work lies in consistently embodying these behaviors even when the market tests your resolve. These 5 signs aren't just markers of progress. They're glimpses into a completely different way of existing in the markets. When you trade for precision instead of excitement, handle losses like a professional, trust your own analysis, focus on process over outcomes, and develop true strategic patience, you're not just becoming a better trader. You're becoming a different kind of person altogether. The beautiful thing about this transformation is that it extends far beyond your trading screen. The same discipline that keeps you from overtrading starts showing up in every area of your life. The patience you develop waiting for quality setups becomes patience with long-term goals. The emotional control you build managing positions becomes emotional control in relationships and business decisions. But here's the reality check. This journey isn't linear, and these signs don't appear overnight. You might experience them for weeks, then find yourself slipping back into old patterns during stressful market conditions. That's not failure. That's human nature. The difference is that now you can recognize when it happens and course correct faster. If you're seeing some of these signs in your own trading, celebrate that progress. You're part of a tiny minority who refuse to quit when the learning curve gets steep. But if you're still struggling with the amateur mindset, don't lose hope. Every profitable trader was once exactly where you are now. The market will always be here tomorrow. Your job isn't to conquer it today. Your job is to become the kind of trader who deserves long-term success. Trust the process, stay consistent, and let these signs emerge naturally through disciplined practice.